Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a tag that I created called the More Than Labels tag. In today's society, I think that we're surrounded by so many labels that we kind of lose track of who we really are. We get caught up in seeing ourselves the way society sees us and not who we really are, and we kind of let that define us, and that can contribute to low self-esteem, and that can contribute to isolation, depression, or just leading us down the wrong path. And sometimes, hey, it leads us down the right path or somewhere we never thought we'd be. But, I think that it's still something we need to acknowledge, that we're more than labels. Um, so, like, we have labels everywhere. We have labels in school, in sports, religion, music, social class, gender, occupations, sexuality, diagnosis, outward appearance, relationships, and more. And that just all drowns us. And sometimes that's okay, but other times it's not. I have been labeled as transgender, a college student, and disabled, etc. Those are the big labels anyway. But I'm much more than that. I'm so much more than that. And a lot of the times I don't think people get to see that. And a lot of the times I forget that. So I've come up with a list of questions that I'm going to answer. And I hope all of you choose to answer. Starting right now. So the first one I have is, how are you labeled by society? And I'll just tell you the big labels again. I'm labeled as transgender, I'm labeled as a college student, and I'm labeled as disabled. The first two, kind of self-explanatory. The third one, which I said was disabled, I have cerebral palsy, and it affects how I walk, and so people stare at me. They see that I walk differently or that I'm in a wheelchair, and they don't take me as seriously as they could, or they treat me like I'm less because I might not be able to do everything like everyone else. And that's really hard, because sometimes then I look at myself as less, and I have to remember that I'm not. I'm not less. Second question. What are some of your hobbies besides what you normally blog about? Some of my hobbies, which I still blog about, are baking, especially like desserts. I really like to bake desserts. But I'm also a poet, and from the age of 12 to the present day, I have written over 200, 300 poems, and I comprise them all into a book. The book isn't published, but I have a couple copies just for myself, and it's kind of nice to just say that I'm an author. More hobbies that I have that I want to pick back up are rock climbing. I really miss rock climbing. It was a really great experience for me, and it really pushed me to my limits and showed me that I can be more physically active. Alright, number 3. What are some of your best traits, and how does that shape your personality? Well, some of my best traits are that I'm determined, creative, hardworking, and compassionate, I guess. And it shapes my personality because even though I may, let what other people say about me get to me, I'm also determined to prove them wrong, or determined to make change. I talked about rock climbing, and it's not like I climbed a rock wall successfully the first time I did it. In fact, I didn't even get 2 rows off the ground, and it took me like 20 minutes, and then I was like dead for the rest of the day. And that wasn't helpful, but guess what? I continued to work at getting to that rock wall and getting to the top, and eventually I went from getting to the first 2 rows in 20 minutes to climbing 25 feet in 6 minutes. And that was amazing. And I wouldn't be where I am without the determination. When people told me, when I came out as transgender and people told me, you're choosing to go down this hard path, I didn't say, oh, you're right, I'll just give up. No, I was like, you listen, this is me, you're gonna have to deal with it. And yes, things have been hard, and it's not always easy, but I haven't let that stop me. And because of that, I believe that I'm going to be a happier person. In terms of me being creative, it's let me express myself through poetry, through blogging, through designing jewelry, and it's giving me good coping skills on how to deal with things that otherwise used to get me down or make me upset and put me into a dark place. I now have a way to try and pull myself out of that. And my last one that I told you guys was compassion. And I've always been compassionate. I care about, what people think, how they feel. I care about what happens to them. And, that's made me into a good listener and someone that gives good advice. So that's helped me choose what I want to do with my life. And I want to be a psychologist to be able to help people understand, what they're going through. They can get through it, and I'm going to be there to help them, and I want to do that. That's something that I think would be fulfilling in my life. And then, let's see, number 4. What is a dream you have that is attainable, and what is a dream of yours that seems out of reach? Well, a dream of mine is, like I just said, to become a psychologist and help people realize that they can get through things and that there are other ways to deal with maybe what's not seen as normal. And then a dream that I have that kind of feels out of reach right now is opening a business for self-published authors. For a long time, that's what I thought I wanted to do, and it still is. It's just right now, because of the place that I'm in, I can't get there, and so it's something that I'm going to continue to work on doing, and it's another thing that I have to drive my determination. So it's just something to look forward to. Number 5, what is an event in your life that changed how you look at things, and how did it affect you and why did it affect you in the way that it did? Well, I'd say when I came out as transgender, or when I realized I was transgender, it really changed how I looked at things. Because at first it was hard. It was like, why me? Like, this isn't something I want to have to deal with. I don't want to deal with, what society looks at me like, and how they think, it's wrong, or that it's not natural, or that it's against science, and stuff like that. And I let it get the best of me for a long time. Sometimes I still do, but it's something that I was finally able to stand up to some people, and instead of letting them push me over and get what they wanted, I was able to say, no, this is happening. This is my reality now, and you have to look at it that way. So it kind of made me stronger and made me be able to defend myself. And that's a really nice feeling. Does your sexuality or gender identity strongly define you in society's eyes? If so, is this something that you are okay with? If not, how would you like society to see you? Right now it is. I'm okay with people, identifying me as transgender and, looking at that aspect of me, because I'm trying to be an advocate and to make a change. But the reason for this tag is the fact that I want people to see that I'm a poet, a baker, a rock climber, a writer, someone who loves music, someone that loves people and cares about how they feel, and not just someone who's maybe not, like I said before, what society would look at as normal. So yeah. The seventh question, how do you feel about labels? I actually kind of like labels to a certain extent because they give you a sense of understanding. You know, when someone says you're depressed, you can look at that and say, okay, how do I get out of that? Or when someone says you have a certain disability like CP, you can say, okay, well, how do I treat that? How do I, change how I do things to make my life better? And it can give you a sense of community. You know, when I said I was transgender or found out I was transgender, it gave me a community of the LGBT community that I could relate to. So I think they're good because they can bring people together, to a certain extent. And then, number 8, do labels have any downfalls? Yes, I think labels have a lot of downfall, which is again the reason I'm doing this tag, because labels are not all that people are, and society needs to learn how to change their rigid molds and kind of shape them as to how things play out in terms of how they affect people in their lives and how people in their lives can change and how circumstances can change, because it'll make change easier. Number 9 is, how do you think society should perceive labels? And I just think they should be able to know that they're there, but know that they're able to change, know that they're supposed to change, know that they're a suggestion, not something that's concrete. There's not just one way to go about life. You know, even math, which has the most concrete of everything, has more than one way to get to the same answer. Number 10, do you have any more thoughts on labels? And I personally don't, because I've told you guys all that I can think of right now. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So please participate in the More Than Labels tag. Hope you guys like this. Bye.